Have you ever stopped to think about what happens inside your phone the second you tap on an app? You know, there's this invisible force, a kind of master coordinator, that makes everything just work. Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain on this unseen manager, your operating system. So let me ask you this. When you're on your laptop or scrolling through your phone, who do you think is actually running the show? I mean, you might think it's you, or maybe the apps you have open, but the real boss? Well, that's something else entirely. Yup, the real power behind the screen is your operating system, or what we all call the OS. The best way to think about it is as the ultimate manager. It's the unsung hero that's constantly juggling every single request, managing all the resources, and making sure your digital life doesn't just crash into total chaos. So what is an OS, really? Well, it's the super important piece of software that sits right in the middle of everything. It's the bridge between you, your apps, and the actual physical hardware of your device. It's basically a master translator. It takes your tap on a play video button and turns it into a language that the processor, the memory, and the screen can actually understand and act on. Okay, so every great manager has a set of core responsibilities, right? For an operating system, it really all boils down to three huge areas: handling resources, organizing all the data, and controlling access. Let's dive into what that actually means. So, a manager's first big job is handling resources. I want you to picture an office where everybody tries to use the main printer at the exact same moment. It would be a total disaster. The OS is the manager that stops that from happening by carefully handing out the two most important digital resources, memory and processing power. And the OS juggles these two things with just incredible precision. On one hand, you've got memory management. This gives each app its own little protected workspace in your device's RAM. Seriously, without this, your music app could literally reach over and crash your web browser. Then there's task management, which is the real magic behind multitasking. The OS is so fast, it switches the processor's attention between apps thousands of times per second, which creates the smooth illusion that you're doing everything all at once. All right, a manager's next critical duty is organization. Just like a great manager knows exactly where every important document is filed, the OS acts as the master librarian for every single piece of your data. And this all happens through something called disk management. See, your hard drive on its own is basically just a giant, messy warehouse of ones and zeros. The OS comes in and builds this incredibly sophisticated filing system right on top of it, giving every photo, every document, and every video a very precise address. That's how, when you hit open, it finds your file in a blink of an eye. And that brings us to the final core duty: controlling access and overseeing all the operations. This is where the OS puts on its security guard hat and its operations supervisor hat, setting the rules of the road and making sure everyone and everything is playing by them. This job breaks down into three key parts. First, there's access control. Think of this as the system's bouncer, checking IDs and making sure only the right users can get into sensitive files. Then you have device management. This is like a logistics coordinator, using special software called drivers to talk to your printer, your mouse, your keyboard, all of it. And finally, application management is kind of like the HR department for your software. It handles installing new apps and, firing them if they start to misbehave. Now think about it. You wouldn't hire a film director to manage a bank, would you? Of course not. Different jobs need different kinds of managers. And it's the exact same for operating systems. The OS in your laptop is a completely different beast from the one inside your smart thermostat. For example, your classic desktop OS, like Windows or Mac OS, is a jack of all trades, built for all our everyday tasks. A mobile OS, like iOS or Android, is a specialist in touchscreens and being connected all the time. A server OS is a total workhorse, built for pure reliability, while an embedded OS is a hyper-specialist, designed to do just one thing perfectly, like run your thermostat. And then you have something like Chrome OS, which is lean and mean and totally focused on web-based apps. Okay, enough theory. You've got the basics down. Now let's see this digital manager in action. I'm going to throw a few quick questions at you to see if you can spot the OS doing its job out in the wild. You ready? First question. Let's say you just got a new smart thermostat that connects to your Wi-Fi. What type of operating system do you think is humming away inside that little box? If you said an embedded OS, you are absolutely right. It's a lightweight, super efficient system that's built to do one specific task with very limited resources. It's the perfect specialist for that job. All right, next question. Right now, you might be following along here, maybe checking in email, and you've probably got music playing in the background. What's the name of the OS feature that makes all of that possible at once?
That would be task and process management. That's the OS's incredible ability to juggle all those apps, giving each one a tiny, tiny slice of the processor's time so quickly that it feels like it's all happening at the same time. It truly is the ultimate multitasker.
Okay, last question. Imagine you're on a shared family computer and you want to make sure your little brother can't get into your work files. Which OS role is going to handle that for you?
That is access control in action. It's the system's digital security guard that checks permissions and makes sure only the right people get the keys to the right files and programs.
So the next time you pick up any device, your phone, your laptop, even your car, take a second to remember that silent, hardworking manager inside. These operating systems are constantly on the job, managing resources, data, and access. Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As our world gets more and more connected, what new jobs will these digital managers have to learn how to do next?